Hello and welcome to another lecture of the course Aquaculture. As you must have seen the first lecture where I talked about what is aquaculture, how we can define aquaculture, what are different species which we can cultivate in aquaculture. Then we also discussed about some of the systems of types of aquaculture like extensive aquaculture system and then semi-intensive aquaculture and then intensive aquaculture. Now today we are going to discuss about status and prospects of aquaculture. This topic we will discuss in two lectures. Today we will discuss about the status of aquaculture. For getting an idea of the data available for fish production and aquaculture globally, there is one very reliable agency, FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, you must be knowing. FAO releases one document, its report on the state of world fisheries and aquaculture, which we abbreviate as SOFIA, SOFIA. This SOFIA document, as you can see in the slide that I have written, this SOFIA document shows the data of 2 years back. Why this is so? Because all the member nations of the FAO, they provide the data on fisheries and aquaculture to the organization. Then the organization, critically analyzes the data, prepares the data, processes the data for making it meaningful and interpret it in many useful forms. And that document, after doing all this, that document is presented in the form of SOFIA report, a State of World Fisheries and Aquaculture report. This report comes after a gap of 2 years. So this year only, SOFIA 2024 has been released. This is available freely on the internet. You can go through and download this document. You will get all the information of world fisheries and aquaculture status. If you go through this latest document, this is the most authentic document on the status of world fisheries and aquaculture. If you go through this latest document, SOFIA 2024, you will get to see that the total production has increased significantly. In fact, we have reached as high as 185 million tons in 2022, the latest data. As I told you, 2022 data will be reported in 2024. So we are referring 2024 SOFIA, but we are getting the data of 2022. Then within this 185 million tons, major contribution earlier has been from capture fisheries production. But lately, aquaculture has surpassed that. Now, aquaculture produces more than capture fisheries production. As you can see here, 94 million tons are being produced through aquaculture and only 91 million tons are from capture fisheries production. And this, whether you talk of capture fisheries production or aquaculture production, they include both the regions inland as well as marine waters. And you can visualize that how huge these natural resources where capture fisheries is done, how huge area they occupy. Instead of occupying much more area in capture fisheries, we are getting more production from aquaculture. We will discuss the reason later. In fact, if you go through the data critically, you will get to know that there are many good signs of aquaculture and fisheries growth. About 90%, you can say, in fact, to be precise, 89%, 164.6 million tons of the total 185 million tons is now being used for human consumption. That is a very good sign. Earlier, this was not the case. What does that mean? It translates to an average per capita consumption of about 20.7 kilograms worldwide, globally, and globally that is a very good figure. Then, if you see the growth in aquaculture and fisheries sector, if you compare the data of between 1961 and 2021, apparent consumption of aquatic animal foods increased at an average annual rate of 3%, whereas the world human population grew at an annual rate of 1.6%. What does it mean? This means that aquaculture and fisheries sector has the potential to feed the growing human population, not only to feed, but to provide good quality protein diet at very affordable price. Now, going into further details, this table shows world fisheries and aquaculture trends at a glance. Here, the data will be compared right from 1990s to then we will get data for 2000s and 2010s, then 2020, and ultimately 2022, the latest one. If you see the trend, capture fisheries have shown modest growth over the years, with marine capture dominating. Inland contribution in capture fisheries is relatively lower, and we can understand because of the area covered under inland regions and marine regions. But overall, whether you take inland example, inland capture fisheries in 90s was 7.1, 2000s it became 9.3, then after 2010 it is dwindling around 11, 11.3, 11.5, 11.4, then 11.3. Same goes for marine production. 81.9 in 1990s, then 81.6 in 2000s, then it decreased 79.8, 78.8, 80.3, 79.7. Overall, what we can see here that although the capture fisheries production, whether you take inland or marine area, that has shown fluctuations, but not significant growth. But when you compare it with aquaculture, if you go to analyze the aquaculture, you will get to see that you just see here inland aquaculture was only 12.6 million tons in 1990s. It increased to 25.6 million tons in 2000s. That is huge increase, more than twice. Then this 25.6 million tons in 2000s that again increased to in 2010s to 44.8, huge jump. So very good growth rate, tremendous growth was observed in inland aquaculture. Then it went to 54.5, and then growth slowed down relatively, but not you can say that significant growth is still taking place when we are at 59.1 million tons in the recent SOFIA 2022 data. In marine aquaculture, however, the growth is not that tremendous, that good as compared to inland aquaculture, but still we are experiencing growth, and we believe that marine mariculture is the potential area where the growth will be seen in future. Say, for example, in 1990s, it was only 9.2%, million tons. And then it went to become 70.9 million tons in 2000s. And now it is in 2022, the marine culture production is 35.3 million tons. Overall, there is significant increase in the aquaculture sector compared to capture fisheries, where almost stagnation has occurred, no significant growth. Likewise, We have also fared quite well in the utility of these aquaculture and fishery produce for human consumption has increased significantly. And you can see here that in 1990s only 81.6 million tons were being consumed for direct human consumption, and now we are having 164.6. Non-food uses, they are fluctuating. They are not showing very good significant growth, but still uh, that is showing almost stagnation. Average per capita consumption from 14.4, we are now having 20.7 kilograms apparent consumption per capita. Trade has also shown significant increase. If I show it in terms of value, in 1990s it was only 46.6 billion US dollars. That has increased significantly. In 2022 we are now having more than 192 billion US dollars. So that is significant increase, and that shows that how the aquaculture and fisheries sector are growing worldwide. Then we have world fisheries and aquaculture production of aquatic animals. In this graph, we shall be discussing this. This blue color, the bottom one, light blue, this shows capture fisheries from marine areas. And then the dark blue, this shows capture fisheries from inland waters. And then this one, the lighter color, shows aquaculture in marine areas. And this dark color shows aquaculture in inland waters. As you can see here that in case of capture fisheries in marine areas, there is almost stagnation, almost straight line you will find. The same goes for capture fisheries in inland waters, these dark blue. But the growth in case of mariculture has also shown growth like this. But in case of aquaculture in inland regions, you will see tremendous growth. That is something commendable for aquaculture, especially in inland regions. We have fared quite well. Then we have this graph showing world fisheries and aquaculture production of aquatic animals, that how we are faring with, how we are comparing with the production of aquaculture and capture of important groups. Like freshwater fishes, if you see here, the freshwater fishes, the contribution of freshwater aquaculture is much more. 83% of the freshwater fishes are now being provided by freshwater aquaculture, compared to only 17% by capture. So we are now moving away from capture dependence for freshwater food fishes from capture. Now we are getting more and more from aquaculture in case of freshwater. Then we have the figure for diadramas fishes. Diadramas fishes include those fishes like salmon, which although lives in ocean but moves to the freshwater or rivers for breeding. That is a form of anadromy. So and eels also show diadromy, and they show catadromy. In fact, from rivers they move or migrate to ocean. So production of these fishes from culture is also significant. Their contribution from culture is 79% compared to only 21% from the capture. And this is a very good sign, because these fishes are very popular worldwide. And if you keep on catching them from the wild, their population will, of course, decline. So that is a good sign that we are culturing more the commercially important fishes, and we are not capturing them from the wild or natural systems. But here, if you see the marine fishes, we have not done well in mariculture across the globe, I can say, but especially in country like ours. So we are getting mostly the marine fishes supply from wild, about 95%, almost all you can say, and only 5% is being provided through mariculture. Crustaceans also, aquaculture is contributing more than 60%. In fact, 68% of the total crustaceans produce is from aquaculture. Only 32% from the capture. Then mollusks. This is interesting one. Mollusks, we are getting 75% from mariculture. 75% from mariculture, only 25% from capture. Why I'm saying this is important? Because mariculture is dominated by mollusks among animals. Fin fishes are not the type of organism being produced maximum in mariculture, but the mollusks are being produced maximum in mariculture. Here in this slide, we can go for top 10 species items and understand that how much of these top 10 species being produced worldwide is coming from aquaculture and how much from capture. For example, the white leg shrimp, almost all from aquaculture production. Almost all from aquaculture production. Then we have cupped oyster. This is again almost all from aquaculture production. Grass carp, what is also known as white armor, based on the river armor, their origin from the river armor. This is again almost all, we can say, from aquaculture. Then we are having Nile tilapia. Majority of Nile tilapia is being produced through aquaculture. Silver carp, again, most of it, almost all you can say, silver carp from aquaculture. Anchovita, this is a very important marine fish catch. This is provided only by capture fisheries, and Anchovita is caught, in very large quantities, and this is a very popular one. Then we have Japanese carpet shell, again mostly from aquaculture. Then katla entirely from aquaculture. We are not having significant catch from the freshwater resources. Then common carp, again majority of it from culture. And Alaska pollock, again a marine fish which is being caught in large numbers. In fact, these Anchovita and Alaska pollock, they are the most important marine species caught in large numbers, in marine waters. Then we can also understand the data better in graphical form. Here, world aquaculture production is shown right from 1990 to 2022. 2022 means the data of FAO Sofia 2024. So this is the latest data, 2022. So in world aquaculture production, you can see that this shows the overall trend for all aquaculture production. There is clear upward trend from 1990s to 2022, with total production increasing from 20 million tons to about nearly 140 million tons, nearly. Then bottom left, it is shown world inland aquaculture. You can see here that this dark blue is referring to fin fishes, and this one red color shows crustaceans, and the green one other aquatic animals. Major contribution in world inland aquaculture is from fin fishes, and crustaceans and mollusks show slight increased growth. However, their representation compared to fin fish is minimal. Then we have world marine and coastal aquaculture. Here, the trend may be interesting, to understand. On the right left, this one, world marine and coastal aquaculture. Here, what we can see that the contribution of algae shown here is very significant, followed by the contribution from mollusks. I told you that among aquatic animals, mollusks dominate mariculture. This is followed by fin fishes and then crustaceans. So that is very interesting trend in case of mariculture, that it shows not the dominance of fin fishes as it was shown in case of inland aquaculture, but in mariculture the dominance is of algae if you compare overall all the organisms, but if you compare only aquatic animals, then mollusks dominate. Again, very interesting tables from Sophia 2024. Capture fisheries production of aquatic animals in marine areas by major producers. This is very interesting to understand that China has been dominating capture fisheries production for quite some time, and it is at the number one position. And the total share of China currently is 14.8%. That is significant, because if you see the share of the country which is at second place, Indonesia, it is only 8.6, and the gap between 8.6 and 14.8 is about 6%. That is huge. And then gap between second and third is very less, about 2. And then other countries, our country India lies at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place. India stands at 7th place in capture fisheries production of aquatic animals in marine areas. In case of marine areas, capture fisheries production, India lies at 7th place in the current Sophia FAO report 2024. And then followed by many other countries which also show capture fisheries production significantly, like Vietnam, Japan, Norway, Chile, Mexico, and then Philippines, Morocco, etc. Then comes another interesting table: capture fisheries production of aquatic animals in inland waters. Capture fisheries production in inland waters, if you see here, India stands at number 1. Our country, India, is number 1 in capture in fisheries of inland waters. India is at number 1 since 2020. You can see here, India is having 1796,000 tons. China is having 1457, less than India. India is having in 2021 1847, and China is having only 1198,000 tons. Again in 2022, India is having 1890,000 tons, but China is having only 116,000 tons. But what was the scenario before 2020? I will explain it now. Before 2020, right from 1980s to 2019, how much? Almost 40 years. It was China which was dominating. See, 537 China, 495 India, 1457, 2111, 2027, 1841. So for almost 40 years, China was dominating capture inland fisheries production. But what happened in 2020? That China was even behind Bangladesh. First India, followed by Bangladesh, and then China. What happened? Huge country, but why so less of catch? If you go through some of the reports, from 1st January 2020, China banned fishing in its largest river basin, that is Yangtze River, and it extended fishing ban for 10 years. Why? They said that they have to protect the biodiversity. And because of this action, it's not only the main river was, in main river only fishing was banned, but in the entire tributaries of that river, entire river system, fishing was banned. And there were some other rivers also, if I remember it correctly. One is Yellow River, where fishing is banned. But because of this action, banning the fishing in these rivers, What happened? About 230,000 fishermen were adversely affected. So, what the government did, they provided support of almost 4 billion US dollars. That was somewhere 3.7 or something US billion dollar support to those fishermen who were directly affected. Because of that fishing ban from 1st January 2020, you can see here the decline. China dropped to third position, and India became the number one. But at this point, I should inform you that this is not something to cheer about. If we talk about our country, India, we are blessed with huge natural resources. We are having one of the um, extensive Gangetic river system. Uh, and we know that there are many fishes which are indigenous to this region and uh, whose germplasm lies in these rivers. If we go on irrationally exploiting these rivers, if we go on catching from these rivers irresponsibly, then we are going to lose the ichthyofaunal diversity very rapidly. Right now, if you go through the fish catch that we are getting from Gangetic river system, I'm just giving you an example. You can refer to any other river system also. Then you will get to see that the contribution of Indian major carps in riverine catch of the Ganga or Gangetic river system as a whole has declined significantly. So why we should uh, be putting on more pressure on our freshwater resources? As we all know, if you go through the World Planet Index report, uh, freshwater resources, the rivers, they are the more fragile ecosystem compared to marine systems. So it's the time we should take some action in order to stop irresponsible fishing and altering the habitats of the riverine system. So that way, but everything apart, right now we are at number one. That is the point to celebrate. Now, world inland aquaculture and marine and coastal aquaculture production by region and main species in 2022. Again, 2022 is written, but we are referring to 2024 SOFIA report. Here you can see that the major contribution among different aquaculture species groups, fin fishes contribute in aquaculture. Fin fishes contribute how much? 89.7%. That is close to 90%. And if you remember my previous lecture, I told you that because of this sheer dominance of fin fishes in aquaculture, people often use the terminology fish culture and make it as a synonym of aquaculture and fish culture. However, usually people who are describing fish culture, only they use aquaculture as a synonym and not the otherwise if they are dealing with some other organism. But fin fishes dominate here about 89.7%, and followed by crustaceans, and then we have mollusks and other aquatic animals. So overall, the dominance in aquaculture is of fin fishes. In inland aquaculture, we are talking of inland aquaculture. In inland aquaculture, the major contribution is of fin fishes. But in case of marine and coastal aquaculture, fin fishes contribute not the maximum. It's not the maximum. Maximum contribution is from mollusks. Among aquatic animals, I am talking. We are not discussing here seaweeds. So, among aquatic animals, mollusks dominate at number one, then followed by fin fishes, then crustaceans come at third place. We take total aquaculture of all aquatic animals, all the inland as well as marine and coastal aquaculture combined, then still fin fishes dominate at about 65.2% contribution, followed by mollusks and then crustaceans. Then world aquaculture production and by major species and main species groups. Here you can see that among the species being produced in aquaculture, the major is being contributed by carps. Carps as a group, they contribute more than 50% in aquaculture. Carps, when we are talking, we have already explained in the previous lecture that Indian major carps, here we are more familiar with Katla Katla, Liberoita, Cyprinus myrgala, and then there are many exotic carps like common carp, Cyprinus carpio, grass carp, Tinophoryngodon idella, and many others like Hypophthalmichthys mollitrix, the silver carp, Aristichthys nobilis, the big-head carp, and many others. Then we have catfishes contributing 10.8. Nowadays, catfish culture, especially the Pangasius one, is growing in many parts of the country. Then cichlids and salmon, and then we have many other species. Among crustaceans, the peanut shrimps, the crustaceans of Penis genus, Penis monodon, Penis venemi, and Penis indicus, many species are being cultivated. They dominate by 62.2%, followed by this crayfish and so on. Then we have capture fisheries production of aquatic animals in marine areas by major species and genus. In marine capture fisheries, you will see here very interesting thing that it's only the top 3 which usually show the dominance in marine capture fisheries production. Anchovita, Alaska pollock, and tuna. Sometimes herring also comes into picture, but usually these 3 species dominate. And currently, you can see here for quite long, this Anchovita is dominating right from 2009 to 2022. This Anchovita is dominating the total marine capture fisheries production. There are many other species. We have mackerel species, we are having cod, and many others. Then world production of major aquaculture species, including species groups. And this we have taken from SOFIA 2022, not from 2024, for one reason that in 2024 SOFIA report, the data is not split into species. They have shown species groups like carps, catfishes, morels. Here in SOFIA 2022 report, we had species breakup. So in finfish inland aquaculture, the dominance, as I told you earlier, was from grass carp, the Tinophoryngodon idella, followed by silver carp, Hypophthalmichthys mollitrix, then Nile tilapia, then common carp. Fish from India comes here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place, Katla. Then we have big head carp, common carp, and then striped catfish, that is Pangasianodon. These days, the Pangasianodon is being cultured in many parts of across the Asian countries, but also in India. Again, now one of our prized fish, Labiorohita, rohu, what we call, that comes at 6, 7, 8, 9th place. Labiorohita. Then we are having Clarius species catfishes. There are basically Clarius garipinus, but Clarius batrachus you can also count. And likewise, many other species of finfishes. Then finfishes in marine and coastal aquaculture, if you talk, then salmon. In fact, in places like Norway and other places, you will find that salmon culture is thriving very well in many parts of the North American continent. Again, you will get to see the salmon culture, not Atlantic salmon in America, but in European waters. Atlantic salmon is being cultivated at large scale, followed by milkfish, mullets, then sea bream, and sea bass, crocus. Likewise, many others, groupers, and many others species breakup has been given. Among crustaceans, This is very interesting. Earlier it was Penis monodon which was dominating the crustacean aquaculture, but now this white leg shrimp, Penis venemi, is dominating, and it is being produced like anything. 51.7% share was from Penis venemi in as per the report of Sophia FAO 2022. Then we have many other. Penis monodon, in fact, came at fourth place now. Penis monodon, giant tiger prawn, and then giant river prawn. Those in inland regions must have seen this Microbrachium rosenbergi. This is a quite large prawn, and its culture is also being done at a large scale across the country, in inland areas especially. Then among mollusks, the cupped oysters are very significantly being produced, and followed by many other molluscan species. Again, the same is continuing among algae. We all know that Japanese kelp is very popular, and it is being produced among algae. Kelp is being produced in the highest quantity. Its percentage share in 2020 was 35.5. That was quite good. Followed by this Eucuma seaweeds and then Gracilaria seaweeds. So that's all in this lecture. Thank you so much.